Good day to one and all. This is Dr. Sivaraman of iknowindices.com. I give the forecast for this week during my 5th December Asian Session Live Market Analysis and the Forecast webinar. Today we are on 9th of December. Let us review what has happened to the market and whether the market has moved in line with that of the expectations or against. So normally we just to follow the forecast, which is derived using a specific sequential algorithm. Followed by that, we do the market reading in 4 majors and 2 commodity pairs, and also use the trading strategy in order to limit the risk and maximize the profit. My contact details are here. Email dr@i-knowindices.com. Skype chat ID iknowindices@hotmail.com. The website address is i-knowindices.com. Let us review the forecast. Okay. I was explaining that this is the year-end time. During the month of December and January, the players are known to make the whipsaw moves in the market. And they made the slide initially on Tuesday, and then subsequently on Monday, and then subsequently they gained again. And yesterday they made a quick gain after that of the ECB press conference start, and then suddenly made the drop, and then formed up normally, and then started making the dip again during the Friday or 9th December start of the Japanese session. After making the lower level consolidation and a brief downward stopping, they are expected to make the gain during that of the European session and then swing and drop during that of the US session. So the players gained the levels during midweek and again dropped it. So this is what the whipsaw move the players do it during the month of December and also during the month of January as the yearly trend reversal time. So next week again we will come across similar moves. They will try to gain the levels and suddenly drop again. So they are known to make the whipsaw moves during this time. So trade carefully, and whenever you come across your buy position is making profit, keep stop at entry and then subsequently maximize the profit using a trailing stop. And if you fail to do that, the position might make loss during the yearly trend reversal time. So keep that in mind, and only then you will be able to really earn money from that other market. Someone says that no volume. I think I'm audible. I find everything is fine. Probably you have to refresh and see, otherwise re-log in and find out whether the volume is fine. Then coming to the levels in which the currencies are expected to swing. So they started around that of 1.05, and yesterday they went up to 1.0873, just 2 pips short of the expected high. Started making the drop to 1.0589 now. Started gaining the levels. The case of Euro. And in the case of GBP, yesterday they came down, or day for yesterday they came down to 1.2566, and still they are holding 1.2571 as their low and hovering around that in order to gain the level. They went up to 1.2746 level. Then in the case of yen, the low they formed was 112.88 on Monday, and then subsequently they gained yesterday to 114.78 and then started coming down. Then in the case of CHF, they have been holding around the above parity 1.0021 is the low, 1.0183 is the high. They are holding in this level. They did not make much of a drop. So the drop is envisaged during the next week. After making prolonged higher level consolidation, they will go in for a profit booking downward move. And in the case of Canadian dollar, 1.3190 was the low they are set, and the estimated low was 1.32, and the high was 1.35, but they went up to only 1.3357 and then started making the slide. In the case of Australian dollar, also in about 100 pips, they have made the swing. Not much of a significant move either on the downside or on the upside. So in all, you come across that they have been doing the range bound swing, and they are expected to breach the range by next week, both on the upside as well as on the downside. So one has to be doubly cautious while trading. Now, with regard to the market trading technique, we note down the initial lows and the highs around that of 3:30 GMT and try to find out where exactly the market is heading. And in the case of euro, 1.0607 was the initial low. We just made a new low, 1.0589, as a brief downward stop and started gaining to that of 1.0607, and they are expected to breach the high 1.0622 by late Japanese session, start gaining the levels again. In the case of GBP, 1.2571 is the low like yesterday, and then the high was 1.2588. They just breached the high and went up to 1.2594, and then holding around there. So they are unlikely to make a breach of the low, and then they are expected to gain further levels. Already GBP is in positive net change. They are expected to gain more. Only euro is showing nominal negative net change, and GBP and Australian dollar are in positive trend. Then in the case of yen, 114.02 is the low. It has not been breached. 114.45 was the high. They just breached and went up to 114.57, started coming down below that of 114.45. So indicating that they made a brief upward stop and to make a slide, holding high in a narrow range, and they build a sell position, and like yesterday, they are again expected to make a downward move in the case of USD. Then CHF, 1.0159 is the low, 1.0168 is the initial high. They breached the high and went up to 1.0179 and come below that of 1.0168 and trading around 1.016466, indicating they made a brief upward stop in order to make a downward move. In the case of Canadian dollar, 31.90 is the low and 32.05 is the high. They breached the high 32.05 and went above and come down below the of 32.05, indicating that they made a brief upward stop in order to make a downward move again. But it could be a narrow range swing in the case of USD CAD. Then Australian dollar, 0.7448 was the low. They just breached and came down to 43, started gaining the level, and 74.65 is the high. They are closer to the high. So Australian dollar, they could gain above that of the initial high, start going upward, and that will be followed by that of GBP as well as euro. That's what it indicates. So they will gain the levels during that of the European session, and then slide on profit booking move could be seen during the US session. So trade carefully and use either ways stops in case if the position is hedged, so that whichever way they make move will be able to make net profit out of that. Now the trade recommendations, you can take a buy near the low, initial low they are set, and then aim for about 75 pips or 70 pips exit level you should be able to close it with a profit during that European session. But try to close a position during that of the European session, as US session they are likely to make a slide. Now this is the market timing chart. So keep a note that the early and the late sessions they handle the majors, and the mid sessions they handle the crosses. And session timings are vital, and always they make the false move during that other gap time, and use the trading strategy of using the hedge in a loss making position. As soon as the position is taken, we will be making loss, so we have to keep hedge order 30 pips away from that of the entry and wait for the market to show profit in a position. Once the position reaches 25 pips profit, try to keep stop at entry and remove the hedge order. So the hedge order is used instead of stop. Then subsequently, you try to use the trailing stop in a profit making position, and also the trailing take profit order, so that you'll be able to definitely grab the minimum or the maximum profit. Once the position is closed, then you can go in for another trade. So you take only one position at a given time, and then after closing it, go in for another position, so that you will be able to really see a substantial profit earned during the month time. Because many of the people, they think that market, they have to grab the profit as quickly as possible and try to take too many positions, and later on find that when the market moves against, they are in great trouble of over trading. So avoid it. So always identify the pair which has made more than 40 pips spread between the high and the low. In those pairs, you try to enter, so that you will be able to see 45 to 75 pips profit. So I'll come back on 12th of December, Monday, and take up the next week webinar and give you the forecast for the next week, and also explain to you the trading strategies. So if you got any doubt, kindly ask me. I'll be willing to answer those questions. So always keep in mind the year and time, they will make whips or moves, the volatile moves. So we have to be doubly cautious. Use the trading strategy to limit the risk and maximize the profit. Don't simply wait with an open position. That might be detrimental to your account. So here's a question from Ben. You have said that the extended move and the intentional move occur one after the other. Yes, the extended move followed by intentional move. In between, they make the stop and false move and swings. I wanted to know if the stop and extended stop and have any type of similar pattern. Now, during that of the stop and, they just sorry, go above that of the initial high and come below in less than 30 minutes, or go below that of the low and come above that in less than 30 minutes as a brief stop and. The stop ends happen during that of the early or the late sessions, and the extended move they make during the session. No, not necessarily the early session. It can be even a mid session, or it can be during that of the mid session mostly. So they just make an upward move. It might start as a stop and during the early session and continue to hold above that of the initial high for more than 2 hours. So after that of the early session also, they will hold above that of the initial high. Then it is extended move. Both will start as a quick move on the upside and stop cutting the new high for 10 to 30 minutes. But in the stop and in 30 minutes time frame, it will come below that of the initial high. Or if it is a downward move, go above that of the initial low in stop and. But extended move, it will stay above that of the initial high during the upward move, or stay below that of the initial low for more than 30 minutes. Then it is an extended move, and after 2 hours they will reverse it and make a swing or a false move, then start making the intentional move. Then also, after the US late session, does the Asia that the Asian session react to it, or it is another type of move? After that of the US session, you come across 4 hours of the gap time. Then the next day Japanese session starts from that of 0030 GMT. So till such time you will come across only the false move. So the type of move during that of the active Honolulu and the Pacific time, you will find the market will be slightly volatile. Sometimes they will be simply holding or make some whipsaw moves, etc. And those moves you can trade as the gap time trade. Gap time trade, you know that gap time moves are false move, quick, and you have to be careful while doing trades during that particular time. In case if you are able to watch the gap time move, and if they dip during start of the gap time, understand during the mid gap time they will gain the levels quickly. If they rise the level during that of the gap time after 2030 GMT, then before 0030 they'll make a dump or the drop. Gap time moves or false moves. Is there any other question, please? Kindly watch the market following the time frame what I have given. Then we'll be able to really understand how the players systematically operate the market. Systematic in the sense they do it in a very, very similar fashion. And it might appear that for us, the market moves are unpredictable. But if you use only the live market code page and start tracking the market, you will be able to easily understand market is fully predictable. You can avoid all ambiguities provided you use only the live market code page and watch the market. Is there any question, please? I'll be willing to answer to the questions. So I don't find any question coming forward. So they're expected to make a rise during that of the Japanese session, end of Japanese session, and then also rise during that of the European session, and quickly make further rise and start making the drop during that of the mid and the late Japanese US session. So carefully trade because they are known to make some unexpected moves from time to time in the market during that of the yearly trend reversal time. So I take this opportunity to thank FX Trade for the facilities provided to present the webinar. I'll come back on Monday, come out with a forecast for the new week and try to follow it and reduce your uncertainty so that you'll be able to make some good profitable trades. Wish you all happy weekend. See you on Monday.